Hello, this is Amy Elizabeth of Fifth Floor Designs. I'm going to create a Valentine's Day themed envelope you can give to someone special or maybe a family member. And there's going to be two examples. So I'm going to use my ink dip with my pen that I like to use, the traditional method, or I created an example where you could use just regular marker. All right, first step is your envelope. You can use any size of envelope. I have some envelopes left over from a different thing I designed. So first thing you need to do is create your heart. So you're just going to take a scratch piece of paper and line it up and just take your pencil and draw around it. Quick reference lines. Lower rectangle. Okay, so just line it up with your envelope, and we're going to create a heart, old-fashioned paper folding. So you're going to just fold it in half. Now the first one we're going to do is we're just going to create one and then just have this center. If you're going to create one to send as an envelope, you would have to make your heart smaller in order to have a stamp in the corner. So we're just going to create the one that has the heart. So basically you want to have it so it's not all the way to the edge, have a little space around for the border to write our letters. Before you start cutting, you can find the halfway point. Just do a quick little reference line. Don't draw too hard on your envelope because we'll have to erase the lines later. It's a little hard to see, but there is a line there. Okay, so for your heart, just do a quick little sketch. Doesn't have to be perfect. You want a little room at the bottom and the top. You can always cut less, but you can't add it back. So try to do a nice little shape. All right, take your scissors and cut out your heart. See how it looks. And we're going to have our letters go off the edge, so it's nice to have it a little bit close to the edge, but not too close. All right, so set that up, see how it looks on your center line. Not bad. Give it a little space at the top and the bottom. Okay, and then just basically do the same thing. Trace around it very lightly. You don't want to do an imprint, otherwise when you erase it, you'll still see your pencil line. So very light line with your pencil. All right, so you can see my sketch, and I like to have a X height, as we call it, the line that you would print. Have, if you remember traditional notebook paper, we call it the baseline and the X height. So I'm going to create another line and go around, turn my envelope as I go to create kind of the same, as we call it, baseline to X height for my lowercase letters that I'm going to draw or write in a second. And just slightly sketch, paying attention. I try not to. Some envelopes are softer than others, so you have to be careful. Nice sketch. Okay, so I have my envelope ready to go. So I'm just going to write love is love is love and repeat it over again. I just like that concept. I'm going to start at the bottom, and I'm going to have my L's kind of go off and then kind of just do a little loop inside. So you can see the X height kind of stays the same throughout. That's why I wanted to draw it. All right, so once again, if you're doing the same as me, just draw really lightly. It's always nice to have a reference. You can go for it if you want to grab your something to write with. If you do have your pen and ink, or if you have one of the Flair markers. And you can see as you go around, you can make the entrance stroke larger on your L, make your L's bigger. They don't all have to be the same. Add a little swoosh at the end. And this one I can actually go off the side. So I like going off the side. Adds a little bit more depth to your design. All right, got our fancy cursive going on. Now, if you haven't learned cursive, basically you could just do like a print and kind of connect as you go. If you don't have practice cursiving, that sounds funny. If you've never wrote cursive before, I know some people haven't learned cursive, and that's why they like to do calligraphy, because they get to learn it. All right, so I'm halfway done. I'm just going to continue on. Okay, so next step is before you start inking, you can add the center where you're going to add your name. So this is Valentine's Day theme envelopes, so you could write my love, honey, the name if you just started dating or something, hubs, wifey, whatever you like to put on your envelope. So I'm just going to add the little line there with any kind of ruler, straight edge. And you probably don't want to do the same lettering style. It might be too much. It's nice to have a little bit of variety. So I'm just going to use a little bit of a print, maybe a little Y. So I wrote honey. Okay, next step is to actually ink it. So if you are, once again, Valentine's Day theme, you could use a red. I love these Papermate Flair. They're nice markers. You could just use gel pens. It's up to you if you don't have it. I'm going to do mine with traditional calligraphy. I use ink. It's a red sumi ink. It turns a little bit, well, it's got a little bit of an orange tint to it, but it's nice. And then I use an oblique holder with a nib. So as you dip, the nib is going to open and swell. You can see in my other videos, I do a lot of videos with traditional classic calligraphy using a dip pen. So I just dip as I go. I'm going to have it off screen, basically dipping and writing. Love is love is love. So as you go, you're going to have to stop and let it dry. So you don't want your hand to get into the ink. So as you come down, you can see it gets a swell, nice shade as we call it. And there's my L. So it's called a press and release. So as you press down, the tines of the nib open and let more ink out. I've been doing this for a while, so if you haven't tried it, it might be a little challenging at first. I have lots of experience. This is my hobby. I've learned quite a bit from different instructors over the years. So for my eye, I'm going to just do a heart, just to make it, you know, more Valentine's Day theme. So if you're doing the Papermate, basically you're just going to do the same thing. You don't have to wait for it to dry as you go. try to stay with your pencil lines, and then I used a different color in the center. It might be too much to use the same color. It kind of pops out more. There's a little white space around it. Okay, so I finished writing love is love is love is loves around the border. You can see you have your initial heart, and you kind of added in the design with your letters. And the last step is I'm going to use a black to write honey. I'm not using an oblique, I'm just using a straight pen. Some people like to write with the oblique straight too. I don't for some reason. Just feels funny. So I'm going to change my holder. And just going to print honey. A little different style. In my black sumi ink. Alright, so you gotta let it dry quite a bit before you can erase the lines. Okay, final step is to erase your initial sketching lines of your hearts, your letter lines, and the reference for the inside. I just use a kneaded eraser. Just be careful, make sure it's nice and dry first if you're using your ink method. If you did the Papermate method with the marker, of course you don't have to wait, you can just do it right away. And then if you want to send it in the mail, of course this is the founder of the Valentine's Day, so I found his resting place. So if you are sending one to send in the mail, you would just have to worry when you have your heart about a stamp. So here's a basic stamp. Usually depends on what they have. So just in the upper right hand corner, you would just have your room for your stamp. Sometimes it'll overlap, which is fine. So when you draw your heart, you just have to be careful and remember that the space is there. Some stamps are more like a portrait, so you would have more room depending on what stamp you use. So then when you create your heart, you do the same thing, and then you would just add more lines in to send to somebody. Okay, thanks for watching your do-it-yourself Valentine's Day video. Have a great day.